this module, I want to talk just briefly about PPC, or sponsored ads. PPC stands for pay-per-click. And pay-per-click advertising or sponsored ads are an integral part of selling on Amazon. It didn't used to be so important, but it's become more and more important where you're having to actually pay for positioning on Amazon, and you're having to spend money in PPC. Helium 10 has a great tool that will help you stay on top of this and manage that. And when we get to the module where Bradley and I introduce you to a bunch of the Helium 10 tools, you'll see kind of how that works. But PPC is super important because you're probably going to have to spend money on PPC. So when you're choosing a product to sell, you want to keep in mind how much it actually might cost to advertise this product on Amazon. And you might want to stay away from some of the categories that cost a little bit more money. Now, PPC on Amazon used to be a small part of the business. It was, several $100 million a year. But it's growing so fast, it's over $10 billion per year now. And it's so important. And Amazon realizes the importance of PPC, and it's almost become a pay-to-play platform, where versus in the past, there's two types of ways to sell on Amazon. Organically means you're not doing any ads. That means you're just kind of listed for free. So when you hear people say, how many organic sales did you have? That means you've done all your homework, you've created a good listing with the right keywords, and people just find you naturally. When the other is paid advertising. And so those are the two ways that you actually generate sales on Amazon, is either through organic, which means you've done a good job on your listing and your keywords, or you have to pay to get positioning. And you'll see on the Amazon pages, there's advertising all over the place. There's banners at the top, usually the first 2 or 3, sometimes 4, depending on the category, results that show up. They'll have a little word that says sponsored. Sometimes the customer doesn't even see it there. It says sponsored. And those are people that are paying for that placement. And when you first launch your product, you're going to have to spend some money on PPC. And it can get expensive really fast. And you probably are going to lose money. You got to come into PPC expecting to lose money when you first launch your product. Over time, your PPC should even out, and it's going to make you money. But the beautiful thing about PPC is Amazon gives you a chance. They give you a chance, and they'll put you, if you spend the right kind of money, they'll put you in one of those first spots, and they'll see if people click on you and buy. If they don't click on you and buy, it doesn't matter how much you're willing to pay, Amazon's not going to show you there. So you have to have a good listing, and it has to be relevant. So you can't just pay a lot of money and stay there all the time, because if those clicks are not converting to sales, Amazon's going to replace you with somebody else that might even bid a little bit less than you, but they're actually making sales, because Amazon's all about money. So it's a combination of the advertising plus all their commissions that they're making. It's a complicated formula that they use to determine that. But when you're choosing your products, you got to kind of keep in mind, what is my PPC cost? What's my cost to entry here? And in categories like supplements, it can be brutal. I really don't recommend most new sellers start in supplements. The profit margins can be insane there, but the competition and the cutthroating and the backstabbing and the cost of PPC can be through the roof. So that's a category I recommend most people stay away from when they're first starting. Another one that can be really expensive is like pets. That's another category that's super competitive, and it can be really expensive. So those are a couple of the categories you might want to think twice about selling in when you first start out. So I like to look at something that's more in the middle range categories: the home and kitchen, or home improvement, or sports and outdoors, or office products. Those are not quite as competitive on the PPC. So unless you come in with a lot of money, then I would stay away from some of the more competitive ones like supplements. I mean, to come into supplements, some people are having to spend $1,000+ per day just in PPC, and in what's called giveaways or free premiums and stuff that they're doing just to maintain their positioning. So when you're looking at different products, you want to evaluate the estimated PPC spend, and there's tools, and we'll show you about how to do that later. And maybe you have two products that you find that are kind of similar, and one of them is much cheaper to advertise in than the other one. You might want to consider starting out with the one that's a little bit cheaper to advertise in, because it's a huge factor in how much money you're going to make. Now, typically, your PPC over time should not be more than about 10% of your total sales. So it's not like you have to spend half of every dollar you make on Amazon to do PPC. And the beautiful thing about PPC is, once you lock in, you figure out how to do your PPC pretty well. And we'll talk about that in some of the later modules in week 7 of the course. and go into detail about this and how it works and some of the strategies and everything. So don't worry about that right now, but just keep in mind that the cost is crucial, and the number of people that are competing. So when you're using the tools like Helium 10 and you're looking at some different keywords, they will actually show you in there how many people are running sponsored ads. And that can be a good indicator of how competitive it is. So if you have a keyword and it says there's 600 sponsored ads being run on this, that's pretty competitive, and most likely those prices are going to be a little bit higher. Versus you find another keyword or another product where it says there's only 6 people or 10 people running, that could be one that might be a lot easier to break into. So that's an important thing I just want to bring up here just briefly before we get into the nitty-gritty of actually picking a product to keep in mind. And don't worry, in some of the later modules we'll go into detail about how to do your PPC. So if you guys are ready, we're going to start getting into some of the ways to actually choose products and properly on Amazon. So I'll see you in the next module.